and welcome to yet another episode of John Works Too Much. Today we're going to take out this tub and this tile, even though it is beautiful. I know a lot of people would be like, John, why do you take up such beautiful stuff and then put in even more beautiful stuff? I'm like, I don't know. People ask me to. And then we're going to make a bench right here and build a curb and then just have a shower. So we're going to raise up this faucet up to about here, 4 feet. We're going to raise up the shower head up to 7 feet and then put new tiles. So it should be beautiful. Now, I've got a friend, Lisa Lowry, and she works at a pest control company. And sometimes I ask her advice because she's very smart and I'm not. And I'm like, Lisa, what do you do if you have mice? And she's like, get WD-40. It won't actually get rid of your mice or kill them, but it'll definitely stop the squeaking. So keep that in mind whenever you might have a problem with mice. Because that way, you know, like you can still love them and not kill them, but they're not as irritating. So thank you, Lisa, for your great advice. We're going to tear this up, and we'll let you know piece by piece as it goes. All right, bye. So it's been about 28 minutes, and I know you guys are thinking, I wonder what John's been up to. Well, we got all this tile out, and also, as a bonus, for those of you that are trying to remodel on a budget, I'm offering this cast iron tub half off. You have to bust these things up. They're miserable. I got the Sawzall blade with the cast iron blade on it, and I cut up some, and I beat the crap out of it with a hammer, and it's just now barely coming out. But they're very heavy, and it's times like these when I think, should I go back and try to finish the 10th grade and maybe the 11th grade, and maybe actually graduate high school so I can get a better job? It might be too late for me. I don't know. What do you think, Helper with no name? She rolled her eyes, as is her usual habit, because nothing I do amuses her at all. And I'm sure that a lot of you feel the same way. So a lot of times I hear people say things like, that's just how I am. You just need to accept me for me and this kind of thing. And I think we identify us with our worst habits. Like, you just have to accept that I've got this horrible habit and I treat people badly. I'm like, or maybe, and hear me out on this, you change yourself for the better so that you're not like a spoiled, rotten child, but instead you're like a mature adult who, I don't know, considers other people. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to beating this thing up and I'll be back soon. All right, bye. So a lot of you were like, John, you should go back to school. It's not too late. But we already smashed up the tub, so I kind of lost interest. I'm not going back to school. That's a lot of work. This is easy compared to going back to school. So I want to show you guys something. So what happens a lot whenever you got a tub drain, here we go. Whenever you have a tub drain, it oftentimes looks like this. This one's made out of brass. The new ones are made out of PVC thin wall. So then this went into a lead pipe, and the lead pipe is very malleable. So this one, I think, tore a little bit, and when it tore underneath, it could have happened years ago. All this dirt is very wet, and all this is very wet, and so all the sheetrock got wet back behind here, so that's a problem. So we had to get down below that, which was not easy. We had to dig all this down, and then we get down to PVC, right? So then to cut it, it's very difficult in this very small hole to get a Sawzall or something in there. So there's this tool I've showed you guys before, and it's just a drill bit, and then you stick inside the pipe and then drill. What happens is, as you're drilling, if it touches the chuck at all, it just drops the drill bit down the drain, and this happens a lot. And so a friend of mine, Mike Lowry, married to Lisa Lowry, in case you guys haven't done the math, told me a wonderful trick, and that is stuff a bunch of toilet paper or paper towels or something down your pipe and then cut above it, and then even if it falls, it will catch it. So I think that's magnificent. So what we're going to do from there is we're going to offset this because it's too close, right? So right now, if we went straight above it, it would be like this, and that's a dumb place to put things. So we're going to put this, offset it, and then have it sitting. You want this to be level with your floor, and then obviously this piece will screw in there and it becomes adjustable for your pan height, and then that'll be a lot better. So I think that is a wonderful tip and trick. Now, I, throughout my years, have worked with a lot of people that think very highly of themselves. They're typically highly skilled, hardworking people, and usually are well aware that they're smart. But then it dawned on me, and this was years ago, like, I wonder if dumb people know that they're dumb. And if, you know, because like 50% of the world's population is below average, think about it, 49%, whatever. So I started asking people, like, hey, of all the people that you know or you've met in your life, what percentage of those people do you think you're smarter than them? And I was shocked to find the answer, because it's statistically impossible for everybody to be smarter than everybody. So somebody has to be the smartest, and somebody has to be the dumbest, and somebody has to be in the middle, right? I personally was concerned that I was the dumbest person in the world, but I've asked around and they said, no, you're not the dumbest person in the world. And I'm like, thank God. And they're like, but if he dies, you're in trouble. And I'm like, so whoever the dumbest person is, please be safe. Wear a Nerf outfit or whatever it takes to keep you alive, because otherwise I will take that crown from you. Anyway, I thought that was interesting that, are people self-aware, or are they just, everybody thinks they're the smartest person or the coolest person in the world. So think about that. Oh, hey guys, it's been about 28 minutes. As you can clearly see, we've got all the green rock up, we've got the new faucet in, we've got the new shower head in, we raised everything up. It was really low, remember? And now we're up significantly higher. We got the curb built, we got the pan in, we got the drain in, and we poured the pan. So that is amazing. Now, if you have Smellophone, if you have the new technology, I know that Elon Musk watches my videos, and thank you, Elon, I really appreciate you. I've got a great idea. You could download Taste and Smell. Hear me out on this. With colors, we can download, we can zap a color and go, ooh, let's mix this with red, green, and blue, and then we'll send it over there, and then it comes out as the same color. You're like, interesting. And with sound, we're like, I want to take these frequencies and then send them over there, and then they're the same frequencies. So just do that with smell and taste. I mean, that way you can smell the bleach that's in here, because bleach kills mold. And so there was some mold, and we killed it with bleach, and it was like this, please don't kill me! But now it is dead. So thank God it won't be here to make anything else. Now, my helper reminded me of a wonderful story. I used to film a fishing show back in 2005 called Gary on the Lake, and we were trying to get to Lake Monticello, and we felt like we were really close. We felt like we're right there. We could kind of see the lake right on the other side of the street. But we were looking for the dock where we could get the boat in the water. And so we pull up to this guy's house, and he's an old guy in his rocking chair. And Gary, the host, he's driving, he goes, hey, you know where the dock's at? He goes, y'all from Dallas? And he goes, yes, sir. And he goes, never heard of it. And we're like, you jerk. It was literally 3 doors down right there. I mean, we were probably 150 feet away from the lake or something like that. Never heard of it. I'm like, not nice, not very welcoming. And as a stranger, I did not feel like you loved me. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. We're going to tile this tomorrow. We're going to put a couple soap dishes in, and the next day we're going to grout it. And then the sadness that has been over this bathroom for I don't even know how long will be lifted, and there will be light and smiles. All right, have a good night. Good morning. So today we laid all this tile, and it's subway tile, but we did it in a brick pattern, which what that means is that normally on a subway tile, you would divide, this is 18 inches, so you come back 6 inches, and cut one, and then another 6 inches and cut the next one. It would just stagger up. But the brick patterns, every other one is the same. So that's that. And then we got cobblestone on the floor, and it looks really nice. We put in these 2 soap dishes, and we got a new faucet, and we put in a new light while we're at it. So we're going to talk about, Helper. Oh, good. Debt. I think that's a good thing. Let me clarify. I don't think debt is a good thing. I think talking about debt is a good thing. A lot of people are afraid to talk about money. I think that it's important because it is such an area of problems for so many people. So maybe you got yourself in debt somehow. Life circumstances happened. Maybe COVID happened. Maybe somebody got sick. Maybe you got yourself in college debt. You bought a house you couldn't afford. Anything like that. And now you're like, you plan for things and you think, this is going to work out, and then life happens and you're like, this is not working out. This is definitely a very heavy burden for me to carry, and I don't see a way out, and part of me just wants to throw my hands up in the air and give up, right? And life can do that to you sometimes. You feel like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is too hard, and there's no way out, and I'll never see the light of day, and I'm just going to be in debt till I die, and that's that. Incorrect. All right, so first of all, you've got to your first rule is, if you're digging a hole and you figure out, oops, I'm in too deep in this hole, your first step is to stop digging. You don't want to keep digging and go, oh, I can't believe that this hole's getting deeper and deeper and deeper, because it will. So stop digging. So stop spending money that you don't have. It's important. Our government could take a lesson on this one. Stop doing that. Reduce your bills down to as little as possible. Live like you're poor, so that later on you can do whatever in the world you want to do. So, for example, I just want to tell you that I'm not saying this in a Judgy Way, I was $675,000 in debt because I owned a music venue and a couple flip houses, and then life happened, 9/11 happened, I ended up getting divorced, and on and on and on. And all these things compiled to the point where my bills were $1,000 a day. Every single day of the year was $1,000 a day. And that is a crushing amount of debt. That is the amount of debt that you're like, I can't hardly breathe, because if I make $1,000 today, I just break even. But if I make more, I better save it, because tomorrow I might not make any, and the next day I might lose money. So what I did is I had $80,000 in credit card debt, and then mortgages and so on and so forth. And so I made a list and I got organized, and I think you should too. And on this list, it wasn't the highest dollar amount at the top, it was the highest interest rate at the top. And I was like, even if this bill is only $1,000, if the interest rate is 26%, we're gonna knock that one out first. So I had I had 13 credit cards and a bunch of other things. And I lined them all up on a piece of paper, and I was like, this is how much I owe. And so I made minimum payments on everything here, and threw everything I could possibly afford at the top one, the top interest rate, until that one chiseled away, and then it disappeared. And I was like, worst case, I can borrow against that again. I was there before, I can be there again, but I'm gonna really try hard to sacrifice and put against this debt. Then when that one went away, like a little bit of relief happened. And I was like, oh, now I'm used to paying this much, but I can take that amount that I was paying there and pay to my second one, and anything else I can afford on that, now my highest interest rate. Until pretty soon all my credit cards were gone, and then pretty soon all of my other debt was gone, and pretty soon my mortgage was gone, and now I have zero debt. And now I pay cash for houses. And I just want to encourage you that if you're in a hole that you feel like I cannot get out of, if you just get organized about it and are disciplined and attack that debt, you can get out of there. Also, on a side note, 40% of homeowners in America own their house outright, which means they don't have a mortgage payment, they don't pay rent. And you're thinking, is it really that much? And the answer is yes, 40%. So 4 out of 10 people own their house outright, of homeowners own their house outright. At which point, now look, most of those people are older, right? Because a mortgage is usually 30 years, but you can knock that out earlier. And I haven't had a mortgage in 14 years. So I hope that helps you out. The tile looks beautiful. We're gonna grout this tomorrow, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday and that you're gonna do something fun tonight, not the normal boring things you do. Oh, hey there. So we got everything grouted. I'm sure you're very grateful to see that. We got this pebblestone in, we got the sub dishes in. With grout, you have to sponge and sponge and sponge and sponge, and then for the next 3 days you have to sponge some more. And then it still ends up with a film on it, and you have to, like this stuff here, you just have to wipe out. Right, so that's how that works. But it's so very beautiful. It's also important to silicone your corners, so everywhere there's a 90-degree angle, you want to put silicone in that. And I see a lot of people in their showers get black mold around the corners and around the tub and everything, and they're like, I don't know, I guess we're going to throw the whole thing away. If you start to see a crack anywhere in your corners or in your grout, fix it. Just put some caulk in there, seal it up. It's pretty simple. That'll keep the water from getting in there. You won't get mold, it won't rot away. It'll be a lot better. So I want to talk to you guys about a cool story. And this is about a Roman soldier who was high up in rank, and his daughter was very sick. And he knew that Jesus was around, and so he sent for Jesus. He's like, this guy heals people. And so Jesus was coming, and then as Jesus is coming towards his house, he sends one of his servants. He himself comes out to Jesus and he says, look, I'm a sinner. If you come to my house, then you will defile yourself. And I am a man under authority, and I understand how authority works. So if I say to this man, go and do this thing, I know it will be done. I don't have to be there watching it. I don't have to be there in person. If I say to this guy, do this thing, and he's in charge of other people, he will do it, and he will have his people do it, and it will be done because I asked for it. And he goes, all you have to do, I know that you're the Son of God, all you have to do is say the word, and my daughter will be healed. You don't have to be there physically. I understand how authority works. And Jesus turns, and this is a guy that's an unbeliever, right? He's a Gentile. And he turns to the crowd and he says, I have not seen faith like this in all of Israel. So you've got a guy who is not a believer. So in our day now, you say, well, he's not a Christian. And yet he understands how things work. He understands that Jesus has authority over everyone and everything, and if he just says the word, there is no magic formula. There is no, if you do this thing and say this chant, then things will be done right. It's not, you will not be rewarded for saying the same thing a lot. It's just simply knowing, if I ask you and you say yes, I know you can heal whatever the problem is. And I think that's a good lesson. So hopefully that gives you guys encouragement, because I personally know so many of you that are going through hard times, and it breaks my heart. And when you ask me to pray for you, I do. But I know, like with full faith and understanding, I realize that if I go to God and say, please heal my friend, then he's like, I'll do what you ask, as long as it's within his will. And there is no more after that needs to be said. He heard me, and if it's in his will, then it will be done. So be encouraged. I hope that you guys have a wonderful Saturday, and or whatever day it is when you're watching this, and I'll see you soon. I was just thinking, if you're anything like me, you probably think about stuff. Like, I went to a paint store earlier to get thinner. It didn't work, obviously. Sorry. So today, we're going to take out this beautiful, elegant fiberglass tub surround shower thing and this faucet, and then we're going to put in a stand-up shower. It's going to be so amazing and beautiful, wonderful. I'm very, very excited. So as you guys know, I went to Mexico. It was quite an adventure and a nice long drive. I got to see many things like a highway. That's pretty much it. I was hoping there would be some exciting stuff. There wasn't. It was just nothing at all. So many years ago, I think probably 31 years ago, I was building my first house. I was building a log cabin. And I was 17. Didn't have a clue what I was talking about. I still don't, but less of a clue, less tools, all of that. And everybody that came by, because this town had about 1,500 people in it, and it was painfully obvious. Like, you seen that guy and his mom out there building that cabin in the woods? And so they would come by one and look at what I've done and be like this. You know what you ought to do? Every one of them. You know what you ought to do? You ought to tear that down and do blah, blah, blah. You know what you ought to do? And I'm thinking, buddy, I got about $3,000 to build a house. So what I ought to do is get this thing finished. But I appreciate your help, your advice, but I'm kind of busy trying to build a house here, right? People do that to this day. You know what you should have done? I'm like, okay, armchair quarterback, you couldn't even throw the ball across the room. Please tell me what I ought to do. Let's see your music venue or your albums or your books that you've written or whatever in the world. Like, please give me your advice. And then there's one guy, and he was a friend of ours, showed up and said, hey, you mind if I help you out? I'm like, this happens often. And usually they just spend the day complaining about what I ought to do. And he shows up and it's like, okay, tell me what you need me to do. And I'm waiting for like the advice or what I ought to do. And it never happened. And after a while I was like, so you're not gonna try to tell me how I did this wrong? And he's all like, no, this is your house. What do I care? You just tell me what you want to do and I'll help. And I was like this. I love you. And I hugged him for, 6 hours or whatever was an appropriate amount of time to hug somebody after they say something nice to you and just act like a decent person instead of like criticizing him. The world's full of critics. We don't need any more of those. You know what we need? People that are nice to each other. All right, we're going to get to work. Huh. If you're anything like me, you're probably sitting around thinking like, what is the point of brunch? Like, why would anybody want to mix lunch with breakdancing? It doesn't make any sense. Mike, am I wrong?
Absolutely right.
Well, speaking of other dumb stuff, well, first of all, we took out this fiberglass tub surround. It took moments. We're going to have to do some magic here. It's got a double manifold. See what this means? That means you got two pipes coming together, and then they meet into one pipe, and then two pipes into one pipe. This one's not a problem. We can cut it here and kind of push it back in. It'll be fine. But this one, we're going to have to do a little jackhammer magic to make this happen. But we'll get it, because Mike's a genius. My plumber's going to take care of it, and we're in county right now. All right, so Mike and I were talking last week before I went to Mexico, and I said whenever I hashtag something, I physically write out hashtag instead of putting the like pound sign. And so, I thought that was clever because, I'm an idiot. And then Mike goes, what does it mean to actually put the hashtag? I'm like, well, you can search different categories or whatever. And he's like, well, this just opens up a whole new thing. So then we come up with a wonderful idea, and this is brilliant. to just hashtag ridiculously random things. Like, hey, we're working on the shower. Hashtag broccoli soup. You know, like, why would you have it? But it's important to put about 78 hashtags, none of which are related, none of which have anything to do with what in the world you're doing. So I know a lot of you, especially hot girls that are taking the same picture of your face all day long in your car, you hashtag like literally everything. Congratulations. I search it and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm just wondering, like, you know, what's the price of Mexican eggs? I'm like, well, there's a hot girl taking a picture of herself in a car somewhere. Makes sense. The truth is I don't search anything on hashtags. All right, so we're going to get to work because it's not going to do itself. Actually, the last job did. Perhaps you're in the bathroom. Sorry, there's not a bath in here anymore. Perhaps you're in the restroom and then there's no toilet paper. That quickly turns a restroom into a panic room. It's hard to take a nap in there with no toilet paper. I also don't understand how things work. As you can clearly tell, yesterday this was a bathtub, and it was one of those fiberglass surrounds. And then we did some magic, and now we've laid the tile. Tomorrow we will grout everything and put in a glass shower door, and we are so very excited. So a lot of you probably know that Jesus said, you are the light of the world, and you are the salt of the earth. Right? And you hear people talk about that person's a real salt of the earth person. Now I know a lot of crust of the earth people. I also know a lot of salt of the earth people. So salt is interesting because we think of salt like seasoning, right? Like, oh, I'm going to put this on, it'll taste better. And therefore, like, maybe we're just there, like, we're not the meat and potatoes, but, you know, we kind of make it taste a little bit better, and that's what Christians are. But remember at the time, when he said this to the people that he said it to, that salt was also a preservative. And so if you had some meat and you're like, I want to eat this, maybe not immediately, but soon, then you're like, I'll just put it in there is no refrigerator. So you would put salt on it and pack salt around it, and that would preserve it and keep it from rotting away and being disgusting. So a lot of times, Christians up against other people, hanging out with them, working with them, being with them, oftentimes stop that person from completely rotting. Now, I'm not saying that they're not going to do dumb stuff. I'm not saying that they're not going to do things that are reprehensible, okay? But usually less, right? Like when somebody's hanging around another Christian, a lot of times they're like, you know, normally I'm pretty much a potty mouth, but around you, even though you don't ask, I kind of watch my tongue. I'm like, well, that's sweet. You don't have to. I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of want to out of respect. I'm like, that's fair. I'm like, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So anyway, the other thing that happens is, and I see this a lot, you get people and they're like, I'm going to church and things are going good in my life. I'm happy. I don't know. The things in life are right. And you just look and you go, that person's going in a good direction. And then they stop going to church and it kind of fades off and the salt kind of washes away. And then you're like, you're kind of rotting flesh. You don't look so happy. You're making a bunch of bad choices. There's a lot of consequences that go with that. Maybe it's time to get back in church and get with some good people. I'm just saying. Otherwise, your restroom might turn into a panic room. I will see tomorrow. So maybe you're looking for some life tips. Maybe that's why you're watching this video. Never fear. I've got some life tips for you. Like this one. If somebody walks out of a bathroom sweating, do not go in that bathroom. There's a good reason why. Okay, so we've got everything grouted. They're going to put on a different shower head than the one that they came with, so never fear. We got these cubbies in, we got this glass door in. Oh, how beautiful. It slides like it should. We got this cool breadbasket thing, and with the accent pattern and another cubby over here. Oh, hey. So, Mike, what you want to talk about? Literally anything. Everybody wants patience, but nobody wants to wait for it. This is a true fact of life. If you're looking for another life tip, that's it. People are like, I want patience. I'm like, do you understand what it takes to get patience? This is going to be a lot of bad things happening to you. They're very inconvenient for a very long time, way longer than you think. And then you're like, I think I'm patient now, God. I've learned my lesson. He's like, not even close. That was 101 class. But you're going to be so patient by the time I'm done with you. You're like, maybe I asked for the wrong thing. It's true, though.
Don't go asking for patience. It will take a long time to get there. You're going to be like, hurry up, give me the patience. I want a 30-second aspirin. I want to hurry up and get the vaccine that's not ready for me yet. Don't do it. I'm so serious right now. All right, we'll see you next. So I'm down here in Mexico, and I love to learn new things, and I love to share my knowledge with you guys. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with Eggos. They're waffles, and they've been pretty popular. Whoa! I apologize. Now this is a San Diego. Oh, I could name a city after that in California. What a great idea. I am sick and tired of getting calls from some guy in India who says his name is Kevin, but on my phone, he shows up as Scam Likely. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call up any random number in India, and I'm gonna see how they like it. Let's see here. Any number in India, and go.
Hello?
Hey man, my name's Ramesh, and I'm calling about your car's extended warranty.
Your name is Ramesh?
Yep, that's me, Ramesh. And I'm calling about your car's extended warranty.
I don't believe you. That's not your name.
Yep, that's me, Ramesh. So anyway, about your car's extended warranty.
I don't have a car. I'm sorry. I'm poor. I only have 7 rupees.
Oh man, that is really sad. I am so sorry. Like, wait a minute. I mean, well, what about your student loan debt?
I paid as I went to school. I have no debt. I have no money.
This is really sad. I feel like a real douche. I mean, hold on a second. You want to meet hot Asian chicks in your area?
John, all the chicks in my area are Asian.
Yeah, I had not thought about that. I don't know why I keep thinking India's in Europe. All right, well, what about your IRS penalties?
John, we don't have the IRS. Do you even know anything?
Wait, how do you know my name? I mean, that's not my name, whatever your name is.
Your name is John Tennell. You live in Kennedale, Texas. Your son is sitting next to you, and he's embarrassed for you. And you're filming this right now because you're single, lonely, and pathetic.
Man, that really hurts. Like, you're not wrong, but ouch. If I was a liberal, I think this would be a time I would get offended.
Cry if you must. Can I talk to Ben, please?
I mean, yeah. Hold on a second. Hey, Ben, it's for you. Some guy in India wants to talk to you.
Can I just start by apologizing for my dad? He eats a lot of paint chips.
Are you still talking to him? My phone bill's gonna be through the roof. This was supposed to be a dumb joke. I mean, good Lord, this has gone way too far.
Ashish is a pretty nice guy. He gave me a great deal on my car's extended warranty.
Why did you buy a car's extended warranty and you don't even have any money? Like, how did you pay for that?
Your credit card.
What? My credit card? I keep that information really guarded.
I just wrote a bot that would ask you what kind of potato chip you were.
I mean, Buffalo Chicken Ranch, but I mean, wait a minute, I remember that. They just asked me just to put in the first 16 digits of my credit card so I could figure out what kind of potato chip I was. And then as a bonus question, they said that if I wanted to know my porn star name, I would just put in the expiration date. I'm an idiot.